Guys, it's Melanie, and today I'm going to be starting a new series, and I don't know what I'm going to call it yet, but probably like something along the lines of how I got the look Urban Decay Naked Palette. You guys know that I don't like doing tutorials because I don't have the camera set up for tutorials. When I try to zoom in with my little Nikon Coolpix that I use to record, it gets blurry, and so the footage usually doesn't turn out well. So I'm not going to call this a tutorial. I'm basically just showing you the different color combinations that I used from this particular palette and sort of show you the placement. Placement is really going to vary on your eye shape. Just because this looks flattering on my eye shape doesn't mean it will look flattering on your eye shape. So I encourage you to seek out tutorials out there about how to apply eyeshadow on rounded eyes or hooded eyes or whatever eye shape that you have. There are lots of really great makeup artists who have done those tutorials, and that's a really great starting place for you. But what I'm showing you is just, like I said, the color combinations, and every time that I do a beauty basket, I'm going to do one of these videos where I show you my favorite look from the palette. So this happens to be my favorite look from the Naked palette, which I pulled for my last beauty basket. I really hope that you guys enjoy this how I got the look video. I think I've taken a look at a little bit of the footage and it seems to be okay. You can definitely get a good sense of what I'm doing. Angle might not be totally perfect, but I love this look. I love it for every day. You can deepen it up by adding a little bit more of the buck color in your crease and sort of intensifying that. But for every day, I just think this is so incredibly wearable and beautiful. And the reaction that I got from you guys on that Instagram picture was fantastic. So it definitely encouraged me to make this video for you guys, so thank you for that. Again, I will try to keep this an ongoing series and to show you at least one look with each palette that I pull in the coming weeks with my beauty basket. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoy. Leave me any questions down below, and of course what is on the rest of my face will be listed in the description box, so make sure that you check out the description box if you're curious about what's on the rest of my face. Thanks again, you guys, and enjoy the how-to. Bye. Hey guys, so this eye is all done, so you can kind of see what we're working towards. The thing that I've already done, besides the rest of my makeup, is I've already put on my eyeshadow primer. I highly recommend you use an eyeshadow primer. There's just no reason not to. You can find really inexpensive ones at the drugstore. So eyeshadow primer just helps to hold the shadow on there all day. It keeps it from creasing. It makes the colors more vibrant. But I do recommend putting just a skin colored or cream colored shadow over top of your primer to help prevent your like crease colors and stuff from grabbing onto the primer too much. So I just use Brûlée from Wet n Wild with just a fluffy brush and just put that all over before I start putting any of my shadow down. So, all right, I'm just making sure that I don't have any chia seeds in my teeth. Chia seeds are the worst for getting stuck in your teeth. It's really embarrassing. My hair's obviously still really wet. Okay, so let's take our Naked palette, and what I'm going to do is just take a blending brush. This is a E25 from Sigma. I would recommend going with the MAC version, which I think is the 217. This brush just isn't very good. Spend some good money on your brushes. I really think that that is worthwhile. You can find some great drugstore options, but I've never found a great drugstore blending brush. I still use these Sigma ones because it just, brushes are expensive, and one of these days I just need to break down and go back and buy a couple of probably 217s because these E25s aren't all that great. Not that that tirade mattered. It has nothing to do with what we're doing here. Okay, take Buck and Naked. First I take Buck and I just put a little bit on, then I go into Naked, which is actually the lighter of the two. And then what I do is I sort of like tap that powder into the brush by just like tapping the bottom onto like a solid surface. And that just gets off a little bit of the excess, and it also works the color into the brush a little bit so that like it doesn't all go on at once. You can kind of like work it onto your eye, if that makes sense. So I don't know how this angle is gonna work here. Hopefully this works. I don't know. So I'm gonna place the color just roughly where I think I want it first. And the way that I like to do my eyeshadow, this is not necessarily going to work for everybody, but I like a little bit more of an elongated cat eye effect. So I put the shadow up just a little bit higher in my outer corner of my eye than I do on the inner corner. So I kind of make it go down into the tear duct area in here versus going with like my natural crease, which would be a little bit more of like a rounded look. So that's just the look that I prefer. May not necessarily be what you prefer. So once I get that on there, I really just kind of start like blending it. Just going back and forth and just building that color up. Because you tap the color down into the brush, the more you work with the brush, the more the color kind of starts to like come back up, and you can build it up that way instead of like having to re-dip several times. And obviously make sure it matches the other side. Okay. Then I'm going to go in with a E40, which is just a fluffier brush. So the bristles are a little bit longer and they're a little bit looser, whereas these are just a little bit like more tightly packed. Then I'm going to go in with Naked and just add a little bit of that on there. Again, tap that down into the brush, and then go around the upper part of that crease color just to like create a gradient up towards your brows. I really don't like having like a severe like line where you can tell like this is where this eyeshadow stopped and the next one started. So this helps with a little bit of that gradient. And again, always like go back and look and make sure that obviously everything's even. My eyes are slightly different shaped, and so I have to sort of overcompensate with one of my eyes, depending on which one I go with, in terms of how high up the shadow comes. And I just put a little bit of buck onto here because I think I blended it out just a tad too much. All right, that looks pretty similar. Then I'm going to take a little bit more of the Brûlée back on that original just fluffy brush that I used to apply this all over, and I'm just going to go around the outer portion of that transition shade, the Naked shade, and I'm just going to blend that out a little bit. Then I'm going to take a pencil brush. This is just one from Sonia Kashuk. And I went into the color Buck, and I'm going to put that along the lower lash line. And I make sure to connect like where the crease color comes out on the corner of my eye here. Hi, Steph. Okay. And I bring that all the way in, but not until I've gotten most of the color towards the outer portion of my eye. Then I'm gonna also go in with Dark Horse. I'm gonna deepen this up just a little bit more than I did in that original picture that I posted on Instagram. And I'm just gonna put the Dark Horse on the outer portion of my under eye area, just to smoke it out a little bit more. And then I'm gonna go back in with the E25 and blend that just a tad. So then you have something that looks like this. I don't know if I'm like way washed out It's really sunny today. I tried to like adjust the blinds, but hopefully you can see what I'm doing. I do find that my shadow and my blush do look a little bit more washed out on camera than they do in person, and it's really hard for me to like perfectly gauge the angle of the blinds to make it work, so hopefully you can see. Now I'm taking the Maybelline Color Tattoo in Inked in Pink, and I'm just taking a Tarte cream shadow brush, and I'm getting some of that on there, and I'm going to place that on my lid. Again, I'm pretty careful with the placement because I don't want it to go too far up into my crease color. And I kind of use my socket line as a gauge for this. Let me turn that off. Okay, so once I have that, I immediately go in with a shadow brush into the color Sin, which is that guy right there. Take some of that on and pack that on top of the Inked in Pink. Basically, the Inked in Pink just intensifies the Sin color. Just makes it a little bit foiled looking, which I think is a really pretty look. Last thing I'm going to do is go in with my blending brush. What is this called? It's a blending brush. And I'm going to go around and make sure that I didn't go too far up into the crease with the Sin, and just sort of help that transition there so it doesn't look super harsh. All right, that's the eyeshadow look. So now I'm going to quickly take some liner, and I'm just going to show you how easy it is to work with this jumbo liner for me. This should probably actually be sharpened. Let me just kind of wipe that off a little bit. And what I'm going to do is just start at the outer corner of my eye. And work in. So you just kind of change the angle a little bit as you go towards your inner corner to make the line not quite as thick. Last thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take Carbon from MAC onto a pencil brush. This is a number 33 from Smashbox. And I'm going to put Carbon over top of the Tenacious Brown liner just to like set it a little bit. You don't necessarily need to do this, but I also want the liner to be a little bit more intense, and this just deepens it up a tad. It's still not as harsh as if I were to use like a black eyeliner. I find that doing it this way, using like a dark brown and going over it with a black shadow, still looks a lot less harsh than just a straight up like black eyeliner, if that makes sense. And I do have a little bit of fallout, and I just always brush that away. And that's it. I'm going to go ahead and put mascara on, do my hair, and then come back and show you guys the finished product. Guys, here we are. I dried my hair and obviously put on some mascara. So this is what the finished look came out to be. I really, really like this particular eyeshadow combination. I feel like it is great for every day. You could deepen it up a little bit more by just adding a little bit more of the buck color in the crease, and definitely intensify it that way. But I just feel like this is so pretty for every day, and it's pretty easy to do. And I know a lot of us have this palette sitting around, and have probably shoved it to the back of a drawer because we've gotten so many other things since this original guy came out. But I really think that this is a fantastic palette, and pairing it with color tattoos to get more intensity out of the colors that are in here is just a really great way to you know, use this particular palette. I was going to also suggest that if you wanted something a little bit darker than Sin on your lid, Toasted is basically just a slightly deeper version of Sin. That's really pretty too. So you could definitely put that on over top of the Inked in Pink, and that would give a really pretty effect as well. But overall, I really love this. I hope that you guys enjoyed the... I don't want to call it a tutorial. I don't know what to call this. I hope that you enjoyed seeing how I applied the eyeshadow. Again, the technique that you use will vary based on your particular eye shape. There are lots of really great tutorials out there for different eye shapes, so make sure that you check those out and then, you know, just use the color combinations that I suggested. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.